All right. Welcome everybody. welcome DDR Rich DD
Okay.
DD Richkel, a very special person in my life. But welcome everybody. Welcome to my good friends NJ Chef and Tom, who we'll be referring to as Potato Tom if Tom wants.
Potato Tom. Oh, I love that.
Potato BPM, even just Tom, all those are good.
Yeah. So, like, I didn't talk with you about this before, but like, I don't know how committed to the bit you guys want to be, but since we are talking about VTubers and whatnot, that'll be one of the things that we can talk about. But yeah, welcome. I am, of course, Belrose. This is my good friend NJ Chef, my buddy Tom. Two of us are VTubers. One of us is just a tuber right now.
We figured that this was the best compromise.
Yeah.
I love the puns. That's fantastic.
Oh, I am a pumpkin.
That's great.
Yeah. But
I see one of my mods and two of my stream regulars in chat right now. So hi, guys.
Nice. Hello. Welcome. My house is your house. But I kind of dropped in on a New York Snark Exchange. Both these fine gentlemen with the New York Snark Exchange. I will finish this intro, but I do want to acknowledge people that do nice things for me. Thank you. Just like that. But they are with New York Snark Exchange, a streaming group, a cadre, if you will, of people who like to do things for charity and also just hang out and entertain people. And I was talking with them, and you, NJChef, are the VTuber in the group, the lone VTuber in the New York Snark Exchange, right?
I wasn't always, but I am now. I have been for basically the past year and a half. Essentially, my 2-year VTuber anniversary is in a month. Oh god.
I'm running into a lot of people who are coming up on their 2-year anniversaries, and it's a big deal to them, and it's it's endearing to see.
Honestly, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal for a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, doing anything for 2 years is kind of a big deal.
Sure is.
Been streaming for 11 years now.
Tom, you and I used to have to do this shit on Skype.
Oh yeah. So like, it's actually funny because like, I even before Snark Exchange was a thing, myself and Bella Rose were the I want to say like the Red Supre at home team.
Good value Red Supre.
Yeah, good value Red Supre because you had the Italian from the Northeast with a little bit of a lisp and a little bit of an accent, and the Southern gentleman.
Yeah, I'm like good value betas.
Well, they were up, and that like it's kind of funny. Like we'll get into that soon, but it's like it's been kind of crazy how like in all the years of like how things have changed in that community, like. Beef and I actually got to see Beatus again for the first time in forever at MagFest. This about a month and a half ago, and he's still looking good, doing good. Like,
yeah,
kind of
like both of them are good people. They're just like regular guys.
They are. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had actually been. So I had been streaming before Twitch was even a fucking thing.
Hitbox used to be the thing.
Try Justin TV.
I was about
Justin
to say
TV, yeah.
The OG name for Twitch. Yeah.
This Justin TV.
Using like I don't even remember the name of the software. It was like Black Box or something like that before OBS was even a thing.
Like you kids out there, you don't realize how easy you have it right now.
Oh, OBS is a godsend.
OBS is a fucking miracle.
Discord is a miracle. Like, as obnoxious as the people behind it are, Discord is really a game changer for this kind of stuff.
I will take Discord over Skype. Skype was a fucking nightmare.
Skype was a nightmare.
Before, if you wanted to stream anything on Justin TV, there was no such thing as like capturing you either full screened your game or you captured your entire desktop window with fraps and Everything
Oh
had
God,
watermarks on it, and
Yeah.
the delay, the built-in, like the lowest latency you had was something like 45 seconds. So something would
Yeah.
happen to me, and the audience wouldn't see it for up to almost a minute.
Yeah.
I
Like
remember
it
that,
is.
yeah.
It's nuts the way technology is advanced now.
By leaps
But-
and bounds, quite
Mhm.
literally.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I did probably like a handful of streams. I literally think my first one was something like 2011, 2012. I did a handful of them on Justin TV, and then around 2014, 2015, I think, myself and Belarus, like, we were just kind of like, we have chemistry from some of the stuff. Why don't we try streaming on? Like, at that point, Hitbox was just a far better alternative to Twitch.
Yeah,
had low
it was.
latency,
Like, it was.
Yep.
Twitch used to be kind of the only game in town before Hitbox came along and like forced Twitch to kind of like wake up,
Mhm.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how Hitbox is doing these days, but I remember it came along and people were. It was a viable alternative.
We used it for like almost 2 years, I want to say.
Mhm.
We did our first
Ooh.
charity streams on
Yeah.
on Hitbox.
A few people, both of y'all included, a few people I followed back in the day were jumping ship to Hitbox because it had features that Twitch did not have at the time.
The dashboard, I remember, was the biggest one.
Yes.
Yeah.
A dashboard in Twitch just did not exist. So if you wanted to check your chat, or in my case, I wanted to put a copy of my chat on stream, you had to do a window capture and chroma key it out because stuff like plugins just did not exist.
Yeah. It honestly got to a point where I was just like, there was a point where I didn't even want to try streaming at that point because the barrier to entry at the time was so high.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was funny because when we initially started the New York Snark Exchange, we didn't actually we weren't a stream for the first year of our inception. We were a podcast actually.
Yes.
Myself, it was myself, Christy Ray, our friend Mario Bueno, and Jay were the core members of the New York Snark Exchange when we initially founded it. And we were doing a podcast, and we just never got episodes out because editing a podcast is an insane amount of work when you also have a full-time job.
Yeah. Like, doing anything of this kind of like hobbyist nature is tough when you have a full-time job, and especially when you're getting older. Like, it is hard to find time for this, which when you do have time for it, it's very relaxing.
Well, the problem that we kept running into is we would comment about things that happened like that week, and by the time the episodes got out to air, they were already like old news. They were already like the topic was dead. So
Right, yeah. So
it
you
was
couldn't
either
be
like
topical.
you get it out. Yeah, you either get it out or you fuck off.
Yeah.
I also, at the same time, I, on like a personal note, was trying to get into Let's Playing and trying to get into the YouTube side of things, where we talked about this on my stream last week, but like, for those who don't like, back in the day, doing stuff on YouTube, like, you either went one of two routes. You either went the laziest route you could possibly go and just kind of hit record and threw shit at a wall and saw what stuck, or like, I was influenced by people like Slow Beef and Chip Cheesem and other goons from the Something Awful Let's Play community, where if you went subpar in your effort, you got fucking
You got
your ass
roasted, you
kicked
got
out.
blamed.
You were roasted. You were trolled to the ends of the earth.
So I'm like, I really wanna make a quality Let's Play. So I went out, I bought a Dazzler HD, which is a HD RGB capture card. HDMI wasn't even a thing like at the time. HDMI capture cards where you either got an internal card or you got nothing. And I remembered recording Rocket Knight Adventures for my first Let's Play.
I remember that.
I still really like that Let's Play. When
I
look back
also
at it.
still really like that because it was so well done, and for a game that not a lot of people really did LPs on, to my knowledge.
I tried to do what people weren't doing, but the downside to that, and like my god, like compared to even someone like Chip Cheesem, who, you know, for getting out 20 minutes of footage, he would get out 20 minutes of footage maybe every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he had a following. When me and Bell did a Gravity Rush LP, which I'm still really, really happy with.
That was fun.
Back in 2016, 2017, the amount of work that went in the background of that was just like, it was almost a full-time job. To get 1 hour of footage up, it was something like 16, 20 hours worth of time investment going into recording the raw gameplay, rendering it out, panning and scanning it for notes, making initial editor's cuts, making a pre commentary version, having to get a hold of Bell, sync our schedules up, go over the raw footage before we started recording, because when you recorded, we got one take. We couldn't like redo a segment or something like that. At an hour, we had to get it all in one take. We'd record the footage, I'd have to layer it on, watch it again to make sure nothing happened during like the transfer, push it out, which at the time my computer was just terrible. It took maybe like almost 4 hours just to render footage alone. And by the time I finished everything, I would put maybe like 20 hours into 3 20-minute segment videos, and they got like 20 views on YouTube, and I'm like, this is so
it's
demoralizing.
disheartening.
Yeah.
Loth Caramon asks, do we know the game nights?
The game nights?
I'm not familiar with them, no.
Game nights of the game table?
I think I do, but they're Magic the Gathering.
What do they do? Are they Let's Players or like content? Well, they'd be content creators, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that they're like, okay. They're the people. My buddy Eric was telling me about them. They're like a pseudo podcast for Magic the Gathering, and they do, the occasional like blind box, and I don't know shit about Magic.
The only thing I know about Magic is there was the one card that you're supposed to throw it in the air, and then if it lands,
it up and then throw it all over.
Well,
the table,
no, that's not what it was originally intended for. Like the original card text is you throw the card into the air, and then whatever it lands on is like out of play. And somebody ripped the card up at a tournament, and that was like, it was a loophole that they found. So then they made a card that's like that.
Yeah. The unset, aka the not so serious version of Magic.
Yeah.
That's the only way I think I could play it.
Yeah.
I play Magic the Gathering. The only format I play is Commander, which is the most fun version of Magic, but it's also one of the most expensive.
That's what really kept me out of it. The only like trading card game I actually got like decent at was the World of Warcraft trading card game when that like first came out. I had a really solid meta deck, and then I went into like one tournament, and then 3 weeks later a new expansion came out, and this deck that I had spent like $300 or $400 on over the course of a year was just like
irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when I was young, I used to do Pokemon cards. I used to do Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I never did Magic. I never did Magic the Gathering. It seemed too complicated for me. But yeah, apparently the game nights, they do a video a month because they have a full team of editors, which
checks.
Yeah, but I'm coming to realize that kind of bringing this back around to VTubing and stuff and streaming, it is really difficult to be a one-man show. Like,
it sure is.
Like, I used to have this kind of issue with people who purchased kind of VTuber models, because it was like, oh, anybody can do that. But like, it is really hard to have artistic skill and technical skill to rig, and streaming skill and equipment, and be entertaining. all at the same time. It is hard to be the complete package.
It is. I only know a handful of VTubers who are like that. Red Claw is an indie VTuber who draws and rigs not only his own model, but other people's models as well. I know he's done rigging for Prism Splay's new model. Cult of Many is another one. She drew and rigged not just her current model, but her original one.
Yeah.
And like they are both incredibly talented at what they do.
Right. I guess we could kind of parlay this into VTubing in general and like start off with some of the VTubers that we know. Maybe not personally, but ones that we've either like me myself. I kind of liken it to being in a huge strip mall, and you have your own shop in the strip mall, and you know all the other people in the strip mall, but they all have their own shops. So it's like you're trying to get your shop up, and you'd like to go shop at all the other shops, but most of the time you're in your own shop doing your own things, right? So you're all in this kind of space, but also a bit compartmentalized and separated, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense, because you're trying to make your own way. You're trying to make your, get your own name, your own content out there.
Yeah.
There's like a sea of others who are just similar, do similar things to you.
Yeah, and let me just say, the market for VTubing, it's not special. It's not special anymore. It is highly saturated. A huge percentage of people streaming are VTubers.
4 years ago, if you were started off as a VTuber, you probably would have exploded by now. But not anymore.
Yeah, like
people talk about has the VTuber bubble burst? It burst a long time ago.
Yeah,
it burst years ago at this point. It burst around the pandemic.
No, I mean, for hobbyists, it doesn't really matter all that much. But if you're trying to make it big or whatever, to turn streaming into your full-time job, which I have been friends with and seen people who start from nothing and have made streaming their job. Like, it's an incredible thing to watch. But just having it be based on you having your VTuber puppet is not enough anymore.
No.
Have a big safety net if you're planning on doing full-time VTubing.
Yeah. Because speaking of gateway to entry, I was talking to somebody last night. Like, the cheapest you can get a live 2D model made and rigged for you around these days is gonna be at minimum 3K. At minimum. Because I know riggers. I know how much work goes into that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the rigger that you're looking at. You can actually get some amateur riggers that are much more affordable, especially these days.
Yeah.
And right now,
in general, it was more of like a ballpark.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it. I guess a better way to put it would be: do not be surprised if you see people who want that much. Because it is a high degree of technical knowledge. Like
it is a lot of technical skill that goes into that.
Like, there is a huge amount of planning that goes into this. So like, I make my own models. I drew this, I rigged this, I set it up, and
it looks good, honestly.
And one of the things that I wanted to do when I was making this is make this kind of a model that could change, because this Belle Rose character, this cartoon, is a shape-shifting plant. So they can hide like this, do a little bit of that, cut back out. Here I am. And then we could do a little bit of so-and-so, one of these, or just get rid of that completely. So I wanted it to be a character that was good for kind of trans and GNC inclusiveness, because
that's perfect. That's fantastic.
And it was a little bit weird for me at first, because like don't consider myself in that sphere, but I want it to be I want to welcome people who are in that sphere. But I didn't want it to be like, you know, I was trying to pander or like fool people, you know. But yeah, it's been really kind of an interesting journey for me in particular, because I just kind of started it one day. I picked up Life 2D and wanted to see if I could just gee whiz make a model. And I can. So I figure, you know, use it. And and here I am. So
I kind of parlay it into the mindset, especially around like 2015, 2016 in, you know, normal streaming, where there's kind of always been, and it's one of the like biggest problems that I have with people who are kind of getting into streaming and don't realize lesson number one: money doesn't solve the biggest problem, which is money can't make you interesting.
Yeah.
Unless you are Seto Kaiba, like.
Unless you're
like,
Byakuya Togami.
Yeah. Unless, like, cause like the same people, and I have seen people who took their first couple of stipend checks around the time of the pandemic and invested them in like $5,000 worth of models, rigging, stream assets, and they still stream to this day. God help them, they're still keeping it up. But like, and I look at them, I'm like, wow, you're making like 80 average viewers, and like, you're making a bit of money on it, but you're not making enough to live on with this, and you're doing it almost full time. Like, like you can't, no matter how much you invest into it, you still have to be charming and funny, and you have to be able
interesting
to keep this shit up.
and set yourself apart from people.
It's kind of the same way, like I said, in 2015, 2016, you'd have people who thought that, well, to be a good streamer, I have to go and buy a, you know, $400 pristine Elgato 4K capture card, and I have to make sure that I'm capturing the latest games the second that they come out, and I have to have, you know, $1,000 Sony mirrorless camera for my webcam, and it's like, yeah, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how good the picture of a piece of shit looks. If you are a piece of shit, no one's gonna come and watch your stuff.
No one.
The fact that, like, you know, fucking look at people who are charming and funny and look at what they were using, and it's like, in some cases they were using like a real person who's built for streaming can make a stream out of like a crappy laptop and, you know, screen capture on Discord. Like, money's gonna help, but money isn't gonna make your, you know, isn't gonna make it sound and look better if what you got if you don't know timing, if you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't have a good, like, why say something into a, you know, in my case literally a $500 microphone if what I'm saying is gonna suck?
Yeah, exactly.
Build up, get an idea, get an audience, run with it, make upgrades as you need. I mean, I started streaming with that Dazzle HD, a $30 Logitech microphone, and software I stole from online.
You found it in a legitimate store and paid for it with money, right?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
For legal reasons.
This is a joke.
I had to listen. I wasn't having the fucking Fraps watermark on my.
You're fine. You're fine.
But yeah,
because you see this model right here.
Yeah, tell us about your model. Tell us about you. Who are you?
This costs $0 because Vroid Studio is a free program you can mod, right? I looked up a tutorial one afternoon, and I said to myself, my first reaction when that tutorial was done was, holy shit, this is easier than I thought. And like, the amount, okay, good, I can't do this here. The amount of detail you can actually get just by modifying and changing assets on the base is actually quite impressive.
Like, it's almost like a character creator from a video game, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how it functions.
Also, hello, Metal Greymon. Good to see you. So tell us about who you are. What is your tuber? What is your cartoon character? What does he do? What are his powers?
So I'm NJ. I'm a Cyberstar Dragon VTuber. God damn it! I blanked on my own lore and I wrote the damn thing. Hold on. Can I just preface this by saying you don't need batshit insane lore. I just like having batshit insane lore because I like sci-fi and I like writing it.
Well, I mean, we could talk about this when we start getting into that kind of stuff, which will be just like in a second.
Yeah,
here.
No, exactly.
Do you want me to just kind of go on with my stuff, like my lore and stuff, while you like recollect yours?
Yeah, you can start yours. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. But like Chef was saying about lore, you don't have to have it, and that kind of parlays into like it kind of like Reese's. There's no wrong way to do this. Some people like to be very committed to the bit, and they don't take the mask off. And some people like me, sometimes I like to put the mask on, sometimes I like to pull it off. And I kind of went through kind of a quandary when I was first starting this because I had a streaming channel. I've been streaming for years. And I wanted to kind of pick up VTubing, but I didn't know if I needed to change my name for that to kind of, because I have like my own social media for this character too. I didn't know how far I wanted to go with it. But there's really like no wrong way to do it. Like I have
there is
been,
no wrong way to do it, like at all.
Like because this Gardenside Chat series, I've had it with people who are not at all putting the bid up, and I've had it with people who absolutely put the bid up, and both of them were fun.
No, it's like somebody, and I really appreciate this comparison as a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. VTubing and professional wrestling are the same exact thing. They are performance art. You have a character. You commit to kayfabe. You do not break kayfabe unless you are
the bit.
Yeah, unless you are. Yeah, you do not break kayfabe unless you're backstage with the boys. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
literally the exact same concept.
Having a social media that is within the V2 sphere, I can tell you that it's kind of like almost a taboo to break the immersion. To the point where if they are going to break the immersion, they kind of like warn people. It's like, hey, this is a photo of me. Watch out. Because I hate to disappoint you all, but I'm not really a monster in real life, unfortunately. The technology's just not there yet.
I am Irish, so.
Bo Possum asks you, Chef, do you consider yourself a face or a heel?
Oh.
Which I guess a face is a good guy and a heel's a bad guy, right?
Yeah, it's a face, aka baby face, is what is like the good guys in professional wrestling. Heel is the bad guy. I would consider myself a baby face at the moment.
Yeah, same. And I think Tom, I think you're a face too, but you kind of act like like a heel sometimes.
It entirely depends on the situation because I'm on the complete like opposite end of the spectrum on this, and it's the big reason why I couldn't be a VTuber if I tried. The second I put on a persona or a character, I will fuck it up. I can't. I can't not be myself. I can't not be just like genuine Tom. Like even like for those who know me, like anytime I get called by my handle, Bear Pigman offline or in real life, I like instinctively just like shudder. I'm like, no, just call me Tom. Like,
thank you,
like,
thank you.
That's kind of just like how I've been in terms of like. If I tried to do a persona, and like a lot of this came up when discussions of people like PewDiePie, where like if you wanted to make it big in streaming, you kind of had to put on like
you had to
put on this grand thanks for coming out, everybody. The second I felt like I tried that, and I rehearsed that to see like maybe, because I'm like, maybe I'm just principled, maybe this wouldn't be bad. I recorded like a video segment of that, played it back, and I hated every fucking second of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel so disingenuous. I feel so, and like, this is not a condemnation of the medium. This is a me thing. I did not feel, I didn't feel right at all. I'm like, there's only one voice I can come on stream and talk with, or come on video and talk with, and that is Tom. I am as Tom today as I've been a decade ago when I started this shit.
Yeah,
I get that.
I get that totally. I will say that
real quick aside though, because lots of Karam, D&D is a completely opposite. D&D is a completely different thing. My current character in our Snark D&D campaign is actually one of my favorite to play, where I am an air gene, who was the basis of the band Earth Gin, Air Genes, and Fire Genes.
Are you a walking pair of jeans?
I am a walking genie, like as in
Gin.
genie.
DJ.
Oh, gin, not jeans. Okay.
And I basically played him like a washed-up 80s bassist. So, Nikki Sixx, circa 1986, or Dr. Roxo.
Your voice is basically like Dr. Roxo.
Roxo, the rock and roll clown.
My voice is kind of like this, baby. Listen, I do a lot of things dumb. If someone has some alcohol on the table, I have to do it. I have to snort this. I have to get this into my system. Everyone's gotta get away from me. So I can characters, but I couldn't do it on a day-to-day basis.
Right. So, I will say that I totally get where you're coming from with the kind of issue of being disingenuous, because for some audiences, some streamers with audience, like, you choose your audience. You choose the audience you want to cultivate, and then you hope that they come to you. For the people that are, the audiences that they're going after, you do have to be disingenuous, and you do have to overreact, and you do have to pretend sometimes. You have to be really scared, or you have to be really happy. You have to exaggerate your emotions to make that connection. So yeah, you have to do that. And at the end of the day,
it is performance art. Like this, this is gonna be a broad comparison. I apologize to anyone who gets offended by this, but like, this is really no different than like getting up on stage and acting in a play.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Right. And it's going to depend on, what play you're doing and where you're performing at. Like, exactly. I don't consider what we do here with putting the mask on being in the same kind of category as overreacting and like pretending to be happy when you're not, or sad when you're not.
No.
I mean,
people in my stream know, like, because I always have been the type of person who wears his emotions on his sleeve. Like, if I get frustrated in a game, you're gonna know. If I get surprised by something in a video game, you're gonna know. Like, whatever you see whenever you tune into one of my streams is just how I am as a person.
I mean, the effects of Witch's House on me, none of that was... It's not play acted, it's not played up. It really did get to me.
I found out there was a manga for that the other day.
Oh, well, there's actually an actual written story for that. That I don't know if I read all of it, but I read a bit of it, and it was also equally depressing. But yeah, and I kind of want to say that a little bit of this is just kind of freeform roleplay, honestly.
It honestly is. Doubly so if it's a collab with other VTubers in particular. Yeah,
like a couple of the people that were committed to the bit, it was honestly just like improv roleplay, and it was fun. Yeah. Like, I am a role player, I'll admit that. I love roleplay.
It's actually been funny as, one of the keepers of the old Snark videos, if I ever have to go pull stuff up for videos and whatnot. it's now become like a bit of a landmine field because or a landmine field because I'm like, okay, cool. In the span of 1 year, Christy came out as trans and Chef came out as dragon. So I have to go through and be very careful with what pieces of old snark footage pre-2021 I decide to use in fucking advertisement stuff.
It is very strange, honestly.
Uh,
A lot can change in a year, literally.
Also, like, just talking about, like, how long we've known each other and whatnot. For those who don't know, I met Chef for the first time before streaming or, like, before YouTube.
In the
me and Chef met...
Yeah, in the halcyon days of 2006.
Yeah, me and Chef met in college.
2006, when yogurt was in a tube.
Oh my god.
He was... It's funny because he was a grade beneath me. So I was a sophomore when Chef was a freshman.
And you were a senpai.
I hate that just in general, but also, like, I think you are, 25 days younger than me, so, like...
Yes, because my birthday is towards the end of October. Yours is at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. We're both October 1987 babies. So, like, in terms of, like, it's almost sometimes where, like, I have to stop and remember, like, the internet's perception of two people is like, I'll make jokes from something that happened in fucking 2007, and no one is gonna get it but Chef, and Chef will start laughing his ass off.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I mean, like, when you find that group that is just in the same zeitgeist that you were, and does the same things, like, I can do callbacks that I don't even expect people to get, and Christy will get it. Like, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. It's a really funny feeling, honestly, and just like, because I have known Tom for so long, it just, I don't know. There's a sense of, like, it goes beyond camaraderie at this point. There's a sense of, like, safety there, because it's like, cool, I know you. If Tom introduces me to someone, I know that person is probably a good person if Tom knows them well enough.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know. A lot of my friend circle has just quadrupled in size. It's like, that whole 6 degrees of separation thing.
Yeah.
I connect people.
You do. You really do.
That is one thing I do. That's one thing I think I do best. But yeah, like, it took me, ironically, this is not even a joke. When Christy came out as trans, stopping myself from saying, it's funny because their dead name is just, like, really, really close to their name. I never, like, I don't think I've messed that up one time. I have to stop myself from calling Chef by their name all the fucking time. Like, I it's to the point now where, like, I think the number of times I've called you by your actual name outside of stream is, like, maybe 5 times in an entire fucking year. Like,
you said
otherwise,
my real...
Yeah.
I won't ever forget this feeling, because, like, the first MagFest I went to after debuting as a VTuber, Tom called me by my government name once, and for a split second, I had no idea who he was talking about. For a split second, I was like, who? Oh, that's me. Fuck.
Yeah.
I looked down at my shirt. Oh. Just write it down there like IR baboon.
But that isn't out of, like, disrespect or anything. That's similar to how I feel. If someone looks at me and goes, "Hey, Bear Pigman," I just kind of, like, stop, and, like, it takes me a second to, like how you said for your government name. That's how I am when someone calls me by my handle. I have to stop and, like, think, like, are you talking to me? If someone says, like, anything other than Tom.
Yeah. So I talked to a friend. Their name is AE, and the bit that they have is they are kind of this mythical creature, and one of the things that they've said and continue to say is that names have power. and that's why they don't tell me their name. They go by AE, and if I were to ask them their name, they wouldn't tell me. But it kind of does make sense.
I really like them.
Yeah,
they drew me as part of the whole thing with drawing VTubers from memory.
Yeah,
really
I'm
cute.
in the queue, but I don't know if I'll ever, it's luck of the draw.
Yeah,
but names do have a lot of power. Like,
they do.
If you, like in your situation, Tom, you know dead names, and you know new names, and you know friendly names, and you could probably come up with names that hurt a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do have that kind of power.
They do, and that's like the degree of like care to which like, and I'm cis. I'm a cis fucking pan like guy.
I'm a cis white guy, and I'm also a plant cartoon at the moment. So I feel I felt out of place for a while.
But I don't like. I say that just as a precursor to the. I won't know what this feels like, but this is what I imagine and what I've inferred from talking to people. And a big thing that people kind of talk about is like the feeling of getting a name wrong or something, or getting a pronoun wrong.
Right.
And a lot of people kind of have this feeling that like you need to be on it 24/7 all the time from the very start. And it's a learned thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have. It's coming to the point where I think I have more friends who are trans or NGC now than are cis. It's kind of crazy, and I'm happy for every single one of them.
No,
but
same.
There are times where even when I'm, I'll get to that in a second. But when it happens, I'll kind of be like, oh yeah, me and her. Sorry, me and them.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
People kind of see that as like a faux pas of like, oh, you misgendered them, and it's like,
oh, I have got so many thoughts in my noggin for this.
The more important part is that you stopped, realized the mistake, and corrected it without having to have someone say
something.
Them. Yeah. Like, but the hardest part for that is, and like this is like, this might just be a way that my mind kind of like, when I talk about things that happened in the past, it's almost kind of like, and I know this is because my brain, when I think of like things that happened in the past, it's almost like putting a VHS in a player and hitting play. My mind just kind of goes to autoplay of something that happened, and it particularly remembers what, something happened in 2012. Like one of my closest friends, Jay, is currently non-binary. They might actually be approaching full trans mask transitioning, but for the longest time they identified as cis and she her, and it wasn't really until about 2018 that they're like, I am non-binary, I really want to go exclusively by they them. And if I'm talking to them now, I will never fuck that up. I will never accidentally use the wrong pronouns. But if I'm talking about something that happened in like 2013, that's when I'll fuck up. That's when I'll have to catch myself. Not because I thought of them as anything different, but because I'm like, no, I remember saying the story when you did identify as that, and I had to like almost like go back and like write over the VHS,
record over the commercials.
Yeah.
So all of this is just so entwined in my life now. Like, when I was young, I grew up in the South, and I did not know that, I had no idea of any kind of, like, trans or sexuality issues until probably, like, 6 or 7 years ago. But I just kind of, like, as an analogy, I wanted to bring up that, like, my mother, my ma, my sweet, sweet ma, doesn't have a mean bone in her body, turned 64 this year. She is getting into and interested in trans issues and sexuality issues. And it is just so heartwarming to see somebody, you know, from a previous generation that is trying to understand, because you have to realize this is very different, like very, very different for them. And to a lot of them, it sounds just so bizarre, like almost alien. And one of the things that she often fears is saying you're doing the wrong thing. And I did kind of want to say that if you do mess something up like that, if you're like legitimately honestly trying and you're met with like a really strong, almost hateful reaction, that's not really, to me, that's not acting in good faith. Like, people are imperfect, and I think it's more important when somebody's trying and wanting to understand than just yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it really bugs me when people don't, you know, you have to understand and put yourself in the other person's shoes. But like, one of the things that she asked me, she's really into arts and crafts right now. She's an artsy craftsy person. She makes wreaths. She makes little scenes out of craft stuff that she gets at the store. It's really cool stuff.
That's cool. Yeah.
But she knows this girl at work, and she wanted to like she's very openly lesbian, and she wanted to give her a little I think it's like imagine a little snowman thing made out of a sock filled with like rice, so it's nice and soft. Little animal like that with a sweater that was rainbow. And she wasn't sure if giving, you know, a lesbian a rainbow thing was right or insensitive, or what. So those are the kind of questions that are going through her head and her wanting to understand and accept this. And I'm so proud of her for that. Like, I am so proud.
That's fantastic, honestly. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Which, you know, there's so much hatred right now. Like, so much hatred. But I know her. I know she doesn't have a nasty, vindictive, mean bone in her body. She doesn't.
Honestly, my parents, my folks are lovely people. Very caring, very giving, very... Still more conservative than I really want them to be.
Well, you take what you can get, right?
They, as they put it, they're fiscally conservative.
Oh boy!
Oh, here we go.
Which to me, we try not to talk about politics too much, because the last time they told me that, I said, "So you're willing to compromise with people's lives for more money?" They didn't particularly like that take.
Yeah.
That is okay when, you know, I'm gonna inherit all their money and I get to choose.
Yeah, so. Fiscally conserve that, you fucking corpses.
There we go.
Can't take it with you, can you?
They are nice. They are nice people. They're not. They are willing to listen and understand, but they are also like. They are also kind of they're what most conservative parents are. They're not actively angry. Or,
right.
like,
they would never go out and, like, you know, attack somebody or make a scene. But, you know, if they were hiring somebody, you know.
They are not all the time willing to take, and this is not on everything. Sometimes they will, like they didn't vote for Trump. I can give them that. But that is a low bar to be.
It's an extremely low bar.
It's a very low bar.
They think I am too overt. They are shocked that I'm actually still as liberal as I am in my 30s.
Jesus.
I mean, for me, my parents, like, up until like a couple of years ago, they were all on the Trump train. Like, they, you know, Trump this, Trump that. But recently, it's been like a complete turnaround, because in the last year or two specifically, so much shit has happened, and they're kind of seeing past the game. They're saying, okay, both of these guys suck shit. We're not even gonna bother this year. Like, they've always been the kind of, if you don't vote, you're part of the problem. But they've kind of seen what's on offer, and they've seen what's in the office, and it's like they've given up. They've thrown their hands up and say, okay, whatever. And that's just so it's a complete turnaround from how they used to be.
I can put it this way. My folks didn't vote for Trump, but they absolutely would have voted for DeSantis, and I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
Oh, God.
Wow, look at how political we're being. These cartoon characters, this trio.
I think it comes with me wherever I go. I think I'm too much of... I'm a shit stirrer by nature, I guess.
Right, you're an invasive species, right?
Yeah. It's a terrible thing to say about the Irish.
Hey, I will always tell this story. I made you a potato by accident. We were doing some VTubers.
That was a question that's been on my mind, and I didn't want to say anything.
Okay, so let me set this scene for you. Let me set this scene.
I'll let you set it up.
It was me and Tom and Christy, I believe. Was Christy there? I wanted them to do some VTuber stuff with me because I was just setting up my cartoon character and I wanted to have company. So I decided that I wanted to make them vegetables so they could be with me and we could understand each other. I decided to make Christy a carrot because it just seemed like a good thing for Christy to be.
Okay.
And I swear to God, this is how it was in my mind. Tom, to me, is a lot like a potato. And
you're not wrong.
Well, Tom is a person who has a very kind of rough, dirty exterior, but they are a staple food. They're very reliable. You can do a lot with them, and they're not too bad for you either. And that is why I made him a potato.
Also short and stout. Like,
short and stout.
I do not hold any qualms. My ass is 5'7" on a good day.
Yeah, and you're not afraid to get fried either.
Yeah.
But when
No stranger to getting baked either.
Yeah. No stranger to getting baked.
That'll be Friday.
Double stuffed with like the sour cream and chives.
I mean, you're not wrong, but send the kids home first.
So that is why I turned him into a potato. It was magic. Right before we were about to stream, I had everything set up on the scene. We were about to go live. And it suddenly dawns on me. Wait a minute. Tom, could we recreate that scene there, Tom?
Yeah, we're like fucking seconds away from going live.
And I say, Tom, aren't you Irish?
Like, Tom, are you Irish? And I'm like, yes. And you're like, oh god damn it, do you want me to make you not a potato? we kinda can't do anything at this point.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
For those who aren't quite aware, there's kind of like a derogatory connotation with Irish people and potatoes, because I may be completely pulling this out of my ass, but didn't the Irish have like a big famine and they subsisted on potatoes? Was the thing?
Yeah, it's the equivalent of someone Mexican and calling, like, if we had a Mexican person on and Belle made them a taco. Like,
right,
it would be very similar to that.
A taco with a little sombrero and the poncho and maracas.
Yeah.
And,
You didn't give me a little leprechaun. You didn't give me a leprechaun hat or anything like that.
Right.
We're at a time where like the Irish, we have to have just thicker skin about shit like that, especially because like St. Paddy's Day is coming up, and we pretty much what we do is
Oh yeah, I did kind of want to ask you about that. Like, obviously you have no problems being a potato.
Yeah.
What about the depictions of Irish people as lager swilling drunken brawlers?
It's not great. But like it could be worse. My main feeling with the entire thing is if you're gonna show the negative, shitty stereotypes, also talk about the good stuff that the Irish have done.
Yeah.
Because Ireland, and especially right now, Irish political is on the political end of the spectrum. We're doing a hell of a lot better than the States are. That's for fucking sure.
Oh, the States are kind of, they're losing.
Terrible.
They're. I'm glad I live in this fantasy world where there's no United States, huh?
Flashback to Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Irish unification of 2024.
They do have a lot of redheads too. I like redheads.
I love redheads. I can't really say shit about it because at the same time on St. Patrick's Day I am going to go out and order an Irish car bomb without qualms.
I mean, I've hung out with you at a couple cons in the past, and I did know you to drink early in the day.
I am
and a lot.
Because I am Irish, I also have a predisposition towards alcohol. Like, it takes, and Chef can attest to this.
Yep.
I am a walking embodiment of a George Burns quote, which was, it only takes me one drink to get drunk. The problem is I can't tell if it's the 11th or the 12th.
Yep.
There have been times where I have gone out and, like, especially if I'm drinking with, like, a fellow Snark member, Trevor or Ray, where they will just put liquor in their body all fucking day long. If I'm drinking with them and we're in fucking full goon mode, I will go out sometimes and drink, like, 10 drinks in the span of, a couple of hours. And I might sit down and be like, I'm still sober. This, like, the alcohol is in my system. Yeah, the alcohol is in my system, and I can feel it's affecting me, but I'm not drunk. And then I'll take that one shot of Hennessy, and I will be gone. I will be gone for the night. I've actually taken steps back from drinking. Cons aside, even at a con, I won't, honestly, one, I feel it in my body. I feel it in my age. I can't go out. If I go out and have, like, it'll be better if I'm drinking stuff like soju or, certain types of alcohol. It'll be a little bit better. But, like, if I go out and drink, like, shitty beer, I won't be drunk. I'll feel like shit, and I'll wake up with a hangover. I have since swapped over to just, like, edibles and weed vape. And honestly, it's a quicker high. I feel it more. And the day after an edible is the most wonderful wake up you will ever have.
And confirm, I had my first ever edible at MagFest this year, and my Fitbit logged me with 9.5 hours worth of sleep.
we like, the stuff I had took a little longer than I expected to hit in. It was edible chocolate. It was actually really tasty stuff.
It was really good. The one you gave me was peanut butter flavored. It was fucking tasty.
Yeah, it was like peanut butter with, like, pretzel bits in it. And it's potent, but it takes a while to kick in. So, like, we had it, and it's like a half hour in, and Chef's like, man, I'm feeling this. This is great. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. And about, like, another, like, hour goes by, and I'm like, oh, now I'm feeling it. And I was about to turn to you and ask how you were feeling, and you just looked at me and you were like, I gotta go. And you just got up and left the room. And I'm like, uh-oh.
It's like, it was a very weird feeling. Like, I really don't know how to describe it right now. It was, I didn't feel like sick or anything, but something in my body was just like, you need to go lie down now. And
you got high.
Yeah.
That's scientifically what that's called.
Yeah, and as soon as that hit me, like, I'm going back to the hotel room, and as soon as I barely got changed, I lied down and I was gone. Like, 9.5 hours later, I'm awake. I literally probably the best night of sleep I got all convention long.
That's one of the best use for edibles these days. Is just you will sleep for.
Yeah.
You will have the Odin sleep.
I'm not gonna lie. I might have been, because it's legal where I live now. I might have been looking up the nearest dispensary to me, and there's one that's like not even 15 minutes away from where I currently live.
They're becoming more and more recreationally available, which I think is a good thing.
No, I agree. It's a very good thing.
I don't think people should have to like potentially go into dangerous areas and stuff like that just to get fucking
Oh,
weed.
yeah, I mean, it's honestly better if you can get it from safe places. But, like, I just, despite my relation to weeds, I have nothing to add to this conversation. Like, I used to drink, I don't do that anymore, because, when I've drunk, I've done things that are stupid. So I just don't anymore.
That's a fantastic thing. Honestly, like if you have ever met our buddy Magma, who is not a member of the New York Snark Exchange, but is a Snark adjacent friend.
West Coast Snark.
We joke that they are the LA Snark Exchange.
Yep.
Between them and our friend Zalora. Magma is one of the most energetically like on fire people I have ever met in my entire life. He lights up a room when he comes into it. He is the walking embodiment of FGC like hype. He is also a talented Skullgirls player, like to the point where he's top 25 ranked at EVO last year.
Yeah, he's that fucking good.
Phenomenal cosplayer, in terrific shape, just all around one of the nicest people I've met. And he does not drink, he does not do drugs, he is completely stone cold, sober, high on life, but he is the most like party guy I have ever met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm like, I aspire to be you. But also at the same time, I like doing goon shit with my friends.
I mean, it's all about knowing your limits. Just because I work with a lot of guys who, they're in work release programs and they're in prison because they've made mistakes. But we've had guys that have gotten DUIs. They've been in car crashes. Some of them came out of the car crashes a little bit different. You really do not know how thin a line there is between the life you have now and a completely different life if you make bad mistakes. So really be mindful of your limits. Like me personally, I have absolutely no sympathy. Well, I wouldn't say sympathy. No tolerance for drunk driving. Like,
oh, I get you.
I used to be, when I was working through college, there was a guy who had several DUIs, and it was like a big joke to him. And I was like, I did not respect him at all, because he didn't care that he was being a danger to himself, and he could hit somebody, he could ruin. Just don't. It's no.
Yeah. I have made that mistake one time in my life. Thankfully, nothing happened. As a result, I got home safe. I looked at myself and I said, "We are never doing this again."
Yeah.
You are lucky to be alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Never again.
Yeah.
The problem I have when I drink is when I am drunk, I am either like completely gone, like crawling around, like smashed, or I am the most convincing. Like the reason why I actually did drive drunk that night, it was a friend of ours' wedding, and I had basically driven a car to our friend's place, and we were gonna carpool from his house. And while we're going there, I'm like, "This is our buddy Max." I'm like, "Max, if I have more than one drink tonight, is it okay if I crash on your couch until I'm sober enough to go?"
You're talking about our buddy Max?
No, I actually haven't thought about that Max in forever. No, this is a CB artist.
Okay.
Yeah, CB artist.
I'm like, if I can crash on your couch, I will have more than one drink and like let myself get a little silly. But if you don't think that's possible, I'll, cap it at one. And he's like, "No, you should be able to crash on my couch." So me and another one of my friends ended up having something like, I think he counted between me and my friend Vinny, we had something like 42 drinks between the two of us.
Oh my god.
Wow. That's a lot.
What we did was I would go up and get 4 whiskey sours for the table. Max was our designated driver. Our other friend was talking to his girlfriend the entire night on his cell phone. So there'd be 4 whiskey sours for 2 people who were drinking. So me and Vinny would go, oh boy, whiskey sour, drink it. Look at the table, see 2 new whiskey sours, go, oh boy, whiskey sour, drink it. And then he'd go up and get another round of 4 for the table because open bar. So I'm crashed. I'm so gone. And we're driving back. The wedding was out in Rhode Island, so it was like a 2-hour drive back. And I pass out on the drive home. We get to Max's place, and he's like, "Hey Tom, how are you feeling? I just realized my mom is teaching a piano lesson tomorrow at like 7 in the morning, and it's like 3 o'clock now. So you can still crash, but you would have to be out for that. Is that okay?" And apparently, I don't even remember saying this. Apparently, I was like, "Nah, Max, it's okay. I'm fine. I got a little bit of rest in the car ride home. I should be able to take it. I'll take it slow. I have my GPS. I'll take it slow, and I should be able to do it. Thank you so much, though, for everything." Like, he was like, "You sounded the most sober I've ever heard you."
But you absolutely weren't.
Oh my
I woke
God,
up the
dude.
next day. I woke up the next day in my bed with my suit neatly. This is the craziest shit. I woke up with my suit neatly folded
No way.
and put away. My shoes, I had unlaced my shoes. I had plugged my phone into charge. I went out, my car, not a scratch on it, not a single issue with it.
And you just don't remember any of that.
I blacked out. I blacked out coming back. I literally remembered getting in the car to go back to Connecticut, and the next memory I have is in my bed. And I told him, I'm like, "Max, why the fuck did you let me drive home?" He was like, "I thought you were sober." I'm like, at that point, I'm like, okay, I have to be overtly cautious about how I do this, because if I'm that convincing, then that means that I have to make sure that that does not happen again.
Right, yeah.
So now if I know I'm gonna be going out, I will give my folks my keys and stop off at my place if I'm going out to the city to drink, because I'm like, you have to give me my keys in order for me to leave, and you have to verify that I'm not drunk. It's actually gotten to the point where thankfully it hasn't happened again, thank Christ. But I almost bought a portable breathalyzer to give
have people make you, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because otherwise I don't want to be that state where I'm blackout drunk and not realizing it and
not realize that you're a perfect perfect charisma conversationalist that can just convince anybody of anything. You'll wake up and you've made a ton of very lucrative business deals.
I rolled multiple nat 20s that and I'm never risking that again.
Yeah. I did kind of want to bring this back into the VTube sphere. These are really interesting stories, Tom. I am always willing to hear them. But I did kind of want to pick your brain, because we did a little bit of this back when you were streaming whatever game that was. Monster Hunter.
And Monster Hunter.
Right. So, as somebody who's not in the VTube sphere, and I don't know how knowledgeable you are about things in general, you had kind of an impression of the different kind of streamers that make use of VTube, and one thing that you kind of brought up was that there were a lot of streamers that you felt were either pandery or just kind of generic big booby, boing boing Minecraft streamers. Is that an accurate representation?
Yeah, that's a fair statement. It's funny you mentioned booby boing boing, but I think this applies as equally to both male streamers and female streamers, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm just dissing. Like,
right, because there are, I feel like disproportionately there are at least female avatar or female presenting streaming channels and people. Like I feel like males are, I shouldn't say male, like masculine is a bit more rare, because I don't really know why there's such disproportionate. Like, maybe it's something about the audience, like the kind of people that watch that stuff are the kind of people that just want to see some titties. I don't know.
I think it might just feel disproportionate to me because I also follow a lot of my timeline is Fujos, and that's, you know, of all gender distribution there.
Fujos.
But I follow
what?
a lot of
Huh?
Fujiyoshi is a term for I want to say girls, but I'm putting that in quotation marks because I know a lot of trans mass people who are just big Fujos.
Traditionally, it's a moniker for girls. Traditionally,
who either like BL or like Bishonen, beautiful men, that kind of thing. So I follow a lot of fangirls. I think is the
okay. So your sample size has more of the Fujoshi appeal because of, you know,
I hear a lot more of my timeline talk about people like Vox Akuma than I have like some like members of Hololive.
Right. Oh yeah, we kind of lost that whole thread at the beginning there of like the ones that we follow and that we're aware of. But that's what conversations do. They go off the rails, they come back. So me personally, I was aware of Kizuna AI. You know, Rip Kizuna AI. Last I heard, she was doing NFTs. But she was kind of the premier VTube star who kind of started the whole thing off. Like VTube Studio, it had the logo on it is her little ribbon. I also really liked Omega Sisters, Omesis, because have you seen those two?
I'm actually not familiar with them. No.
Omega Sisters is kind of another early VTube streamer duo. They're two sisters in real life, and they kind of just like do skits and like comedy stuff. It's not strictly like
cute.
Video game stuff, and some of it was funny. Like it's I haven't really watched them because it seems like they're kind of strictly Japanese. There's not a lot of translations available for their stuff. But they just did kind of little goofy skits.
That's cute.
Korone, which we talked about briefly, but you know Korone, I know Korone.
I love Korone.
Yeah.
Koro-san is probably one of the earliest examples of no. I can actually tell this story now, or like tell this little anecdote now.
Yeah. Give us the anecdote.
Because I say this anecdote every time like they ask me like, Chef, how did you find out about VTubers? And I always tell them there are 3 VTubers who kicked me down the VTuber rabbit hole it's so far down that I became one. Korone, Fubuki, and Coco.
I do not know the other two. I feel like is Coco the chicken? The fried chicken?
Kiryu Coco, the loud, brash, and uncensored dragon VTuber from formerly of Hololive.
Right, we can get into the whole corporation talk in a bit. But yeah, I don't know the last two. I know a lot about Korone because Korone, I feel like, has that genuine quality because like she is corporate, right?
Yes, she's Hololive. She's from Hololive Gamers.
Right. And I don't know what exactly Hololive Gamers does for their talent. Like a lot of, for those completely unaware, a lot of VTubers go through these corporations called VTuber agencies, and I'm not sure exactly what they do, but they handle things like promotion, and some people, they give them the models, and kind of like any other talent agency. Right now, one of the corporations, Niji Sanji, is in kind of some hot water because their contracts seem to be incredibly one-sided, and that's kind of
Not
compounded
even
by the...
seem to be, they are.
Yeah.
Somebody got a hold of a talent contract and broke it down on a 4-hour live stream. An actual lawyer. And it's bad.
Yeah. Which is kind of compounded by the fact that a lot of these people in these agencies are rather young for the entertainment industry. In fact, there was one agency that was not Niji Senji who like hired somebody that was like like below legal age, like a child. Like it was something like 14.
I remember False talking about this.
Yeah. Like, I remember it was going around in the circles, and I figured, well, maybe it was like 17, not quite 18, that kind of thing. She was like, and the kind of thing, let me put my words together. Being that young in a space where certain kinds of people watch that content and expect that kind of content is, in my opinion, not safe for somebody that young.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and that was kind of the whole kerfuffle there.
Yes,
but I mean, in my opinion, a lot of these, if the corporation has these predatory contracts and they're usually recruiting people that are in their early teens or late teens, mid-teens, early 20s, like there's a knowledge gap there, right? And another thing that kind of sticks in my craw is that there was like a question that went around the circles a little while ago. It's like, if you could join any corporation, big or small, which would it be? And I was like, don't these places all just kind of seem to take all the shit that you've done, like, and like fire you and terminate your channel? Like imagine if all the stuff that you did, Chef, like I came up to you one day and said, okay, you're fired. All that stuff that you did is no longer accessible. Your social media is terminated. All your collaborators, you can't do it. Like, it seems very unfair.
It's not all like that, though.
It's not all like that.
It's not. It's the I'll give you an example. When Coco graduated Hololive back in 2021, all of her VODs are still up. Well, some of her VODs are still up. Some of them were pulled down, not because Hololive management is malicious, but because of like copyright reasons. But I would say 90% of her content is still up. Her Twitter, albeit it is inactive, is still up. Her original songs and recordings are all still up. They're not deleted. They're still there. When you graduate, none of your things are terminated unless it's specifically requested by the talent themselves. Like when Pomu graduated from Nijisanji En, she specifically asked for all of her membership-only streams and content to be made public.
Isn't that kind of the opposite of what... So what I've heard happening and what people have gotten upset about is some people, like corporations, doing the graduation thing, which just calling it that seems kind of, I don't know, weird to me.
It's a holdover from Japanese idol culture.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into that too. But a lot of people are upset because of things going down and not being accessible, like somebody's channel being terminated. Like, has that just not happened? Or
that has happened, but Sun took the words right out of my mouth. There is a difference between being terminated and graduated. If you are terminated, your contract is void. All of your content goes away. If you graduate, that's code, I guess, for...
Yeah, it's vague.
It basically means that either you're basically leaving on good terms, and all of your content does stay up and is still accessible.
Right. Yeah, it's just so much of that, again, that idol culture. Like, me, myself, I'm not a fan of idol culture. I'm not.
Oh,
Like, I feel like a lot of kind of slimy things have gotten into the VTubing hobby because of idol culture. Like, part of it just... Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Whenever you have a situation where you can monetize something and, you know, make a ton of money off it, like, it's going to take up a tier, and, like, this is not... I will say, as someone who is probably more critical of the VTubing industry than most, I will also be the first to admit, this is not purely a VTubing problem. This is a streaming problem. And I can say, because we left our contract with them in the most beautiful way possible. This is
you
right
left your contract with who?
Proven Gamer.
Yep. I remember this. I remember this somewhat.
This is almost like immediately before we actually invited Chef to be on Snark Exchange on a permanent basis. But for a while, when I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do streaming-wise, Snark was doing 1 stream a week. Me and Bell were doing...
It's okay, you can use either one.
You can see exactly what I mean when I say, when I'm talking about something that happened in the past, it's
I mean,
thinking about it.
Me and Bell were the same person.
Yeah. But we were doing streams twice a week, and I remember, like, so Proven Gamer was a company that approached us about basically wanting to be... They were like a podcasting group that did like a weekly podcast about PS4 trophies. And
if I remember correctly, this Proven Gamer, they turned out to be like a bunch of chodes. Am I right?
Yeah, they approached Ray about wanting to basically be their streaming arm. Like, they wanted to get more into streaming. They're like, we want you guys to basically work for us. And we were like, okay, you know what? We don't have shit to lose at this point. It might help our visibility, whatever. I said, let's give it a shot. And the dude ended up being like a fucking garbage motherfucker who wanted such high quality out of us. And I was putting in my best effort at the time. And he's like, I needed to be better. And I'm like, I've seen your streams. They look like shit.
So it's, yeah.
I remember at the time, a big point of contention was, he was like, if you guys are going to stream for Proven Gamer, I want you to delete, not use, but delete your Hitbox and individual Twitch accounts. Yeah. And I looked at him and I'm like, in what fucking universe do you think I'm going to do that? I'm like, unless you are paying me up front, which I don't think this guy paid us anything. I'll be real. I think we streamed for him for about 3 months and we didn't get shit. But I'm like, unless you are paying me for a year up front, I'm not deleting shit and you don't own me.
Like that seemed like somebody that was just wanting to take advantage of people.
A fun caveat to this entire thing is, for a while, I had a sneaking suspicion that he wasn't even watching our streams, and to prove it right, when we made the decision... me, Christy, and Ray at one point were like, this guy, we're leaving because this guy was like publicly expressing support for Trump. He came into one of our streams when we were making fun of, we were playing Jet Set Radio and making fun of the cops. And for those who don't know, Ray has dealt with police brutality. Ray is a victim of fucking police brutality. And Ray was talking about that. And this guy came into chat and was like, I know you're not making fun of cops on my channel.
On my channel. My channel.
We're like, okay, we're the 3 of us were like, we are done with this, right? And I'm like, I want to prove a point that he's not actually watching our streams. So I like advertised that I was playing, like, I want to say Puyo Tetris or something like that. And what I did instead was I set up OBS to loop Quad City DJs Come On Ride the Train infinitely. And I put about 5 GIFs of Bart Simpson, of like a Bart Simpson mascot costume, pulling the choo-choo on a train and just riding like a steam engine. And I just let that play on loop. I literally hit go stream live, hit play on YouTube, went upstairs and took a 45-minute nap.
Good shit.
I came downstairs. No, not only had no one said anything in anger, we had more views than we had ever had on any stream we had ever done, and it wasn't because of their word of mouth. It was because I had written on my Twitter, "Fuck these guys. I'm gonna do something funny."
I think I remember that. Yeah.
The funniest fucking thing. Oh my god.
And that's how we handed in our resignation notice.
Yeah.
But that literally, what we're describing is what, we are saying companies have done, and that was not a VTuber was associated with that.
Let's see. Sunseal's saying a lot of stuff in our chat. Let's see. The reason those kinds of contracts exist is because the company wants a total lockdown of the talent. Disney doesn't want a potential idea for a future film slipping away from them because of off hours. Because of off hours. What is?
Probably meant to say odd hours.
Maybe, yeah. In the same way streaming companies want to lock down on the talent's personality, and the only way they can do that is by locking down everything else. So I guess it's kind of like, I don't know what VTuber merch there is.
Tons.
Is there?
Tons. Tons. Acrylic standees, licensed Nendoroids, original songs, voice recordings, seasonal voice recordings, collaborations with other companies in Japan and around Japan.
I know that Corone is involved with Sonic.
He's the official Sonic spokesperson, yes.
Like not romantically, just it's just business.
No, she's not only the official Sonic spokesperson for Sega now. She has a DLC costume in Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, and that's cool. I forget where I was going with this. Yeah, lots of merch. So I can kind of understand why the corporations want to have like ownership of that, but at the same time, like going back to the would you join a corporation? I don't think I would. Like I don't know exactly what it is corporations do for the talent. Like
it's kind of like having it's like having a manager and producer.
Producer.
They handle a lot of the
minutia.
Yeah, like we were actually talking earlier today about how if you want to be a talent if you want to be a streamer nowadays, you can't just be a performer. You have to be a tech. You have to know how to, unless you have people doing it for you. You have to know how to set up your set up your streams. You have to know the technology behind rigging. You have to know. You have to be your own hype man. You have to be basically your own manager because you have to make sure the schedule goes out every week. You have to make sure you're monitoring the algorithm to see you're hitting your peak stuff.
Yeah, there's also like nuances like game permissions and all that stuff.
You have to be your own. You have to be a DJ. You have to be an editor. You have to be. If you're doing it by yourself, you have to be able
everything.
You basically have to be a one-man production team.
Yeah. And in the case
I'm
of
literally that at my job, so.
And in the case of a lot of corporate VTubers too, like if you're doing like stuff like song covers or like writing and producing your original song, like you got to balance that on top of streaming, and that's what the management and the staff will help you with.
But the downside to that is you have to, you basically have to.
You become beholden to them.
They own your content as much as you do.
Right. Yeah. Because they were involved.
If things go bad, they can go bad. Some companies are worse at this than others.
Yes.
Niji Sanji is currently going through it right now because they are garbage. And there are it's funny because I will talk about my distaste for the corporate side of things. But truth be told, there probably is more nastiness in the tiers 2 or 3 below the top corporate. Because
so what's 2 or 3 below corporate? Like what is that?
Oh, I have stories of other VTuber corporations who are absolutely worse than Niji Sanji. For example, Wakter and Akio Air. If you know, you know. they are some really bad. They were some terrible VTuber corporations who, I can't get too far into it because that rabbit hole goes down so far. But they did some horrible things. All of their talents up and quit, and in retaliation, they not only doxed all of their talents, they attempted to sue all of their talents, former talents at this point.
For breach of contract.
Like, there's currently an ongoing class action lawsuit against both of those former corporations' CEOs because of that.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of things that I'm hearing in corporate culture right now that are bad. Predatory contracts, bullying, which I really don't understand.
That's everything that was uncovered on the whole Niji Sanji and Doki Bird, formerly Selen, situation.
Which it is good to see Doki Bird, like, you know, up and leave the company and just find instant success wherever she went.
Yeah,
I mean,
because she had that.
Because she had that following.
She not only had the following, but like what we like to call, she had a past life to return to.
I think I get it.
Selen is gone, but Doki Bird is still around. If you know, you know.
And another instance of another company would have asked them to destroy any channel besides their main, so that something like that couldn't have happened.
Yeah. So like,
that kind of predatory, like, you stream for us. You only stream for us. You don't stream on any platforms that we don't want you to. You don't. This is your job now. You don't. You know, you can't moonlight. You can't be a second VTuber.
And I can confirm not every corporation will do that. I know of certain VTubers' past lives who are still active.
Again, it's all wrapped up in this code. This is like graduation, past life. Like, I just don't get it.
I mean, like, again, it's the same thing with some stuff in the idol industry, where if a person leaves the idol industry, part of the stipulation in their contract is that they can't make any music for X amount of time.
Yeah, that is. It's almost like a non-compete, but it's more like a non-job.
Yeah. Again, to bring it back. Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Yeah, to bring it back to the pro wrestling analogy, it is a perfect example of this. I can bring up again because it's somewhat recent wrestling news. Was when
are you talking about Diarrhea Dwayne?
No. It's more hardcore wrestling fandoms will know this. Is when Adam Copeland, the wrestler formerly known as Edge in the WWE, everyone thought he would remain in the WWE for life. He would retire as a WWE wrestler. He made his debut for AEW a couple of months ago.
Is this in response to the whole...
No. And it was very funny, too, because people were surprised he took his theme song with him. Like, isn't that a WWE song? He's like, no. Adam contracted the owners, like the band of that song, and just like, yeah, you could just take that with you. Go ahead. They'll never be able to mention his WWE career on AEW television, but it's just really, it's again, VTubing is just professional wrestling with more steps. VTubing is just professional wrestling with more steps and less physicality.
Right, yeah. I mean, you probably have an edge over me because you seem to be at least partially mechanical, and I can't really do with that.
Oh God, coming off the top row with the steel collab.
I mean, yeah, to touch on my lore again, like
yeah, let's go back to that. Yeah.
to touch on my lore, like, you know, I have myself and my draconic kin have created, like, basically created stars. Like, we've been in this galaxy long before humans have, right? So
how do you create stars?
The only reason why I'm like this is because, like, I had an unfortunate run-in with a black hole, and the only way to fix me was to fuse, you know, technology directly into my body. So
So you fuck the Dune popcorn bucket. And...
This is why you don't fuck the Dune popcorn bucket, okay?
Right.
Real quick on that, did you see the video of like the 4D?
I saw that.
They just start bucking people around in their seat. I'm like, someone's got that bucket in a place, and they're going crazy with that.
They are going buck wild right now. Like, if you walk in, Tom, I think you said it on Twitter too. If you walk in solo to the Dune 4D experience with the sandworm bucket, I know what's going on.
I know exactly. I fucking hide it. I'm sitting up. I'm changing my seats, so I'm not sitting next to you. I'm not in the fucking Shamu splash zone.
Oh, Shamu splash zone!
But
caution,
actually,
you make it wet.
No!
I'm actually happy to be kind of having this, kind of just roundtable discussion just in general, because one thing that I actually want, like, I pitched this to Snark about 2 years ago when we never got a chance to do it just because we couldn't get schedules to line up.
Yeah.
But like, we like, so in the realm of Snark, we make fun of everything. We make fun of everything that everyone's into.
It's in our branding.
You're irreverent.
It's literally in our branding. But like, I always kind of feel that a lot of this stuff is like, we make fun of because we don't really get it, and the more you kind of know something, the better jokes you can make, the better snarks you can make, so it doesn't just feel like we're outsiders just like making fun of. I never like the feeling of trashing the popular thing because I don't get it. So, and like, Trevor in particular has probably the worst impression of VTubers, and I can't say unfairly, because his first experience with a whole lot of VTubing was that fucking GTA 5 clip of a whole lot of OG Japanese VTubers dropping N-bombs.
Yeah.
So I something that I pitched to Snark a while back that I really want to try and get off the ground in some form or another, because I think it's a great idea just in general. But I wanted to do a podcast or a spoken stream like this, where a person who's really into kind of a niche hobby in comparison to the group has to kind of explain, or like, not justify, because I don't like that word, but like, explain the appeal or talk about it.
Explain the appeal is probably the better phrase in that situation.
So what I wanted to do was have a stream where Chef had to explain the history of Hololive, or like whatever subsect of VTubing, to myself and Trevor. And we could be a little snarky. Yeah, but we could be a little snarky.
But you need to be open-minded, right?
I wanted it to be kind of a, because there's a whole lot of people, especially in our audience, like, it's changed now for obvious reasons, but when we started, a whole lot of our audience kind of didn't understand VTubing as well either. And I'm like, the more we can kind of convey something like VTubing to an audience that might not understand it, they might have better interaction with, like, Chef's material.
It's kind of like good for everybody. But
Chef went the route of doing more stuff on his solo channel and finding an audience that was already into that. But like, there are still, I'd say, a fair bit of Snark fans who are like kind of getting it now, but for a while it was kind of like oil and water.
Right.
And I felt like something like that would have bridged the gap.
I feel like it could still work, to be honest.
Honestly, I feel like it really could. Like, I am intrigued by the idea that you are all within the same area. You're all a streaming troupe, but one person, Chef, is into a different area of streaming that is just as valid, but different from what you all normally do. And I feel like that variety could really, help your community and your kind of your streaming reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it honestly has. Like, especially when we do stuff as a group, when we do like Snark D&D, when we do our Closing Bell podcast, whenever we do anything multiplayer, like, I see like my community like immediately jump into Snark Chat and say hi, like kind of like they're doing now.
Yeah, and we do
so it's just,
appreciate
like-
you guys. Like, I know some streamers like to constantly stop the action to like acknowledge chat. I'm reading all your messages. They're very funny. They're very interesting. I just don't want to like cease the flow of what we've got going here.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yep. Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I will tell chat like listen, I gotta concentrate. Let me concentrate on the game right now. I will get back to you in a moment. Like I'll literally just tell them that, and they'll totally understand.
Yeah.
It's been very funny whenever we've done something like Lethal Company in particular, because we're getting alternate camera views for that. We'll have a situation where Chef will be streaming on YouTube, we'll be on Snark, and like periodically we have had to play the game of is Chef talking to us or his audience.
Like I really think that it could be cool and interesting if you all kind of leaned into the idea of everybody having kind of specialties. Like I unfortunately, like I said earlier, I'm a store in the strip mall. I'm constantly doing my stuff, and you know, again, you're older, you work a full-time job, you don't have the time in the day. But I have seen a little bit of Chef streams, and I don't know how committed to the bit you are. Me myself, I like to do streams where I'm committed to the bit, and I feel like if you had that kind of variety within the troupe, like people would know, okay, this person is the one that, you know, well, you've got that ASMR video, right?
Yeah.
And you're in character for that, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Just more stuff like that. Or like have an indicator of like, okay, tonight, guys, the mask is on or the mask is off. I'm in love with the idea of being that kind of entertainer, where you're really acting and you're really like it's like between acting and improv. I feel like
I'm committed to the bit in that, like, while I may not be playing a character, I am still me, and I'm like, how can I word this?
Take your time.
There is a distinct difference, I would say, between like because we do, you know, solo stuff and we also do a lot of group stuff. When Chef is doing something solo or Chef is doing something on his channel, there is a difference between that or say something like the closing bell, where, you know, I'm not gonna say your government issued name, but it feels more like that than NJ Chef the Cosmic Dragon.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and of course, you know,
and
speaking to that, you know, I would not bring you two on here and just I would not. Oh, what am I trying to say? I want to do things that you are comfortable with, and you know, not drag you into something that you don't want to do. Like, obviously.
No,
I
absolutely.
feel like we're a very adaptable. I mean, a lot of us have been streaming for so fucking long at this point and have done have done things that both have worked and haven't worked. Like
100%.
We were actually talking about this the other day, where we kind of just think about like what our particular strengths are. And kind of knowing them makes it easier. And yeah, Sunseal in chat is actually talking about right now another thing of like, because we all kind of come from such like different
backgrounds. Yeah.
Trevor, I Am Some Kid, is a phenomenal DJ.
You really.
And
Trevor's cool.
Especially Trevor has been one of my fucking best buds for over a decade at this point, and he's such a cool person, honestly. He is again one of those people who, like, if he comes into a room, he will light it up.
Like I really like that you have that, guys, that you have that kind of almost like a ragtag band of people that just, I would say, just embrace that difference, embrace the everyone's kind of quirks and that kind of stuff.
I always say, just in streaming in general, whenever it comes to like putting something out there, the question I always ask is, can this be found somewhere else? And the closer we get to a know that this is a really unique thing only we can do, the happier I get, the more excited I am. And I'll give an example right now. Kind of, we were talking before about our strengths and weaknesses. I am at my most boring when I am playing a new game that just came out that everyone else is playing for a blind react.
Right.
Like right now, Ray is doing Right now, actually, on Snark, Ray is doing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and he is one of the foremost Final Fantasy VII fans that I know. To the point of like, we saw his Sephiroth cosplay from 2006. It was phenomenal. And he can be a lot more entertaining on a blind playthrough. If you put that game in front of me, I would be the most boring fucking person because I'm not. I almost don't want to interact with the audience. I want to interact with the game and maybe give one. I'll maybe make 5 minutes of entertaining commentary throughout the entire run. But if you give me a game that I have played more than one time, and let me be informative, like a perfect example of this is the Cursed.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, those streams were so they were informative. They were organic. They didn't feel at all rehearsed. It's just it was so
those
special.
Those are the kind of streams that I'm at my peak when I have 4 hours to go and look something up, take notes, present how I want to showcase things, do a little bit of pre-work on my own time, and really set a stream up. That's when I'm at my firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, in general, when you're passionate about something, that really comes through. And when I say passionate, I mean like unabashedly, unembarrassed, full-blown. You know, this is what we're talking about. I'm going to gush about it. That.
Yep.
It used to be, you know, old days of the internet, you could not be genuine about things. You would get made fun of. But, like, genuineness, going back to, you know, what you said earlier, Tom, genuineness is so special. You know what I mean?
It's why really I was telling... Yeah, no, it's why it's also why I was telling Tom and I was telling Christy on 2 separate occasions I would love to do more tabletop stuff on the New York Snark Exchange.
I love tabletop.
Yeah, because A, that's what, you know, it adds more to our uniqueness, and B, that's shit I like.
Yeah.
Like, I will be that person to sit down for 4 hours and talk about anything under the sun as I'm painting Warhammer 40k miniatures. Like, that will be the entire fucking stream.
Oh,
and like people come by for that. People love that.
Yeah.
Real quick aside, because I know we're talking about wrestling, and I just peeked at Twitter real quick. Guess who just showed up to AEW? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, I have Twitter open on my other monitor. I'm silently freaking the fuck out.
Diarrhea Dwayne?
A very prominent New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler, I believe, is joining AEW.
Yep, he's literally just made his debut tonight.
Who is it?
The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada.
Yay!
I fucking love the man. I've seen him wrestle. I've been privileged to witness him wrestle in person exactly one time. He is a once-in-a-lifetime wrestling talent.
Oh, speaking of once-in-a-lifetime, I mean, I just want a quick aside here. Coming up, we're going to have a full solar eclipse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Once in 100 years, this happens.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact date, but look it up online. I believe it's a full solar eclipse, total eclipse.
Total eclipse of the sun.
Boom. And then he saw a strange light, like something from another world.
Literally 2 days from now.
2 days from now.
No, April 8th.
April?
Oh, April 8th. Sorry.
Okay, so it's next month.
Misread that.
Yeah. Be careful. Take a look at it, because, you know, it is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Don't look directly at the sun. Use a pair of special shades or a shoebox. We don't want anybody here going blind, because then they couldn't watch our show. But yeah,
okay.
We were talking about this at work. Are you looking it up? Is it a full solar...
Full total solar eclipse passing through the states of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine.
And if you happen to be out by any florist shops at that time, just suggesting.
Don't feed the plants.
No, do feed them. But yeah, wrestling. I just wanted to bring that
up. No, it was just kind of a very buck wild moment that I needed to make sure Chef was acutely aware of.
Let's go, baby. Yes, the Rainmaker has landed.
If you want like one of the most like legitly fun experiences ever, watch a wrestling pay-per-view with Chef in the room. He takes on, and like what you're hearing now, imagine that for literally 4 hours straight.
Right, so it's like the fire inside gets lit, right?
Oh yes.
So I guess I can talk about this. One thing that I guess people might not know is like one of the things that like Chef kind of brought to the table when he first joined Snark was that at the time I think you were watching a whole lot of like
Professional League of Legends, yeah.
Yeah, you were watching a whole ton of Pro League, and as such, like you were able to make like I remember we were doing League for one stream because I was kind of a newbie to it,
Yes.
and myself, Ray, and Christy brought Chef on, and Chef was making like pro level callouts on this stuff, and like so like just imagine that same level of like announcer voice on a wrestling event. We would periodically have our unfortunately rest in peace Hampton's house. But we would have an event called John Con, which is our friend Neo Ivan Gaming from our sister stream, Digital Era Entertainment.
Yep.
Had a family house up in the Hamptons, and about 3 or 4 times during the summer would have everyone from the D and Star crews come together, and we would have basically a powwow by the pool, drinking beers, having barbecue, and that's kind of where we would pitch the ideas for Extra Life. And the streams for the second half of the year, but primarily it was Extra Life like planning central. They lost the house sadly, so we haven't been able to do it for the past year and a half, but one year it happened to fall on one of the AEW pay-per-views.
Yes.
I wasn't even in the room. I was out in the pool, and I could hear from inside. I would just hear Chef going like, Danhausen! Holy shit!
Listen, we love that Danhausen here. Love that Danhausen.
And it was so beautiful. Of just basically hearing just like the most excited I've ever heard any human being for anything in my life.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, because like again, I am the type of person who will wear their emotions on their sleeve, and like you will know when I'm into something.
No, it's
you will know when I'm into
genuine
something.
passion is such a beautiful thing. It's one of the most human things I can think of. To love something so completely, honestly, genuinely, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's the kind of energy like not just VTubing. It's just when I made
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, when I made my specifically, I made my debut as a face cam streamer for the New York Snark Exchange. I feel like I still, I brought that kind of energy too, because one of the first games I streamed for Snark was Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild on Master Mode. So like 90% of my streams was like me explaining shit like as I was doing it, and just I don't know. There's still some of my fondest memories. Like it's why I was so gung ho when Tears of the Kingdom dropped. I was like,
some of my fondest memories are back when me and Tom we used to do kind of retro games, and I
remember these.
I am really fond of when we played Tiny Toons Buster's Treasure Hunt on Sega.
Yep.
And that whole game we just spent shooting the shit with each other. Like, we talked about so much. Like, I'll always remember we were in the fire level, and we were just talking so much shit on John K. Like, so much shit. It was so fun.
Oh, no, I remember this. I remember this.
We got to have a little taste of that with the Toe Jam and Earl stream. That was
we did.
Extremely fun.
That was really fun. I'm really glad that we got to do that too. Like
Same here.
My specialty is the retro games. Sega, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Like there's so much there, which you can buy legally and play on your Super Nintendo that you have at your house.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But like my biggest influences when I started making content were, some of the old heads on Something Awful, so Slow Beef, and particularly the way Chip would dive so deep into a game and show like everything in Metal Gear Solid 3. The fact that he was able to go and take a game that I had played and thought I knew so many things about and show me something new about it.
I love
that.
Deep dives.
That's the kind of streamer, that's the kind of content creator I want to be. I want to show something to someone that they either didn't know they wanted, or
didn't know about,
knew nothing about, or thought they knew everything about, and I'm making you think about something in a different light.
Yeah, like I really like the deep dives, and it seems like Super Mario 64 is something that it's just like an endless, like a bottomless well of content for the deep divers.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I'm kind of in love with right now is the Super Mario Broth Twitter.
That's such a good Twitter.
It's such a good Twitter. Like it's this person.
Such a good Twitter.
This person that presents, like, they're very serious about it and they're very proper when they speak.
Yep.
They have this veracity policy where they only post things that are verifiable. And one of the most recent things that was posted was they're doing these as experimental posts, and it's cute. Like, so I learned that on the Super Nintendo, the game Yoshi's Safari has an anti-piracy measure where it asks the Super Nintendo to write something to its game save memory and then asks it to read it back. And the trick is, Yoshi's Safari doesn't have a save game memory. So if the Super Nintendo is able to do that, then it shows that the game was burned on a cart that has save game memory on it. And then at that point, it triggers the piracy flag. But the way it was communicated on the Twitter by Super Mario Bros. Is just really cute. Like he anthropomorphized the Yoshi's Safari game and the Super Nintendo to where they're like talking to each other. And he gives them like little angry eyes, and people started drawing fan art of like, Yoshi Safari Super Nintendo Yowie. Like the pictures of Walt from Breaking Bad being like, no, don't do it, Yoshi Safari, don't do it, Super Nintendo, you're not, it's a trap. But it was just so, I love people like that bring a little bit of weirdness into the world.
It gives me the same vibe that Panenkoic.
Yes.
There's another one of my
Panenkoic,
idols.
I really like Panenkoic.
For those who have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, Panenkoic is a very delicious way of making a Dutch baby pancake, but he's also the name of Panenkoic. Panenkoic 2011, who is a taster for Mario 64. If you've ever heard of the A button challenge, where you're trying to beat Mario 64 in as few A presses as possible.
Few A presses, yeah.
Yeah, famously
Panenkoic is the man who blew that category out of the fucking water.
He's the one who popularized the famous half A press meme, and unfortunately...
Yeah, the half A press meme, exactly.
Unfortunately for Mr. TJ Henry Yoshi, yeah.
Well, by all accounts, he's a pretty nice guy and is still very active on
YouTube. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's quite resilient to be putting up with the TJ Henry jokes for, like, years and years.
But this man knows more about Super Mario 64 than anyone knows about anything in any walk of life ever.
Yes.
My joke that I have is like, okay, if we put all of these Super Mario 64 deep divers into a room together, we would have a utopia by the end of the month.
No kidding.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is Tom, you probably know them. Bismuth.
Yeah.
Bismuth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bismuth's fucking videos on like just not just Mario 64, but like
Donkey Kong
game mechanics in general.
Yeah.
It's just incredible to watch.
Like, I know it's really like technical stuff, and for some people it might not be interesting, but like, think about this. Think about this. We tricked rocks into thinking with numbers.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're alive right now to witness some obscure Donkey Kong glitch where he like slows the game down and then goes into a void to cut, X amount of time off the game because of this logic and that logic. We're making rocks think with all this. It's just so amazing to think of.
Yeah.
My favorite part about Bismuth's videos, and it's like a small thing in comparison to all the work that he does in terms of like editing and whatnot. But do you know he does all the music for all of his videos himself?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
when I found that out, that's fucking crazy.
That's incredible. Yeah.
He does the piano, like all of his videos are accompanied by like a piano score. He is responsible for making all of the music in all of his videos, which
it's so
is that's mind blowing.
The fact that he has not just the time but the skill to do that on top of every other bit of research he has to do for the videos. My God.
Hang on. I'm gonna pull something up here. But no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Like, that's the kind of, like, professionalism that I like, absolutely adore. And I love seeing people, like, using skills like that in a unique way to make elements of a... Because even for stuff like editing, it's so easy to just download a plugin online and, do it. That
just
when I see
press
someone make
record
an
and
organic-
have it cut everything in 10-minute segments, no matter where the video is.
God.
the fucking DSP era.
God damn it, DSP.
When I see people like doing homemade like and that's actually one of the we kind of it's funny we talked about before about like VTuber agencies and whatnot, but one of the biggest benefits of Snark that I can talk about in comparison to even when I tried to do it on my own, the stuff that I am notoriously bad at, Christy excels at.
Yeah,
Stuff
it's like you're a
promotion.
troupe.
Yep.
You're like
I
a
am
circus.
Terrible. I am terrible at making going live posts or like stuff like that. Christy excels at making that.
He is so fucking good at it. Like, it's
He's
scary.
incredible at it. So like but like when like we are operating at full capacity when we are at charity time for obvious reasons. That is our
All
bread
hands
and
on
butter.
deck.
Oh
And
yeah,
the best-
I want to say, to you guys that you do so much positive charity work. Like it's like I don't want to say it's the one thing you're good at, but it's something that you're really good at. More so than other people that I know.
It's the crown jewel of our content, honestly.
Yeah.
I have felt that if that's my legacy when I go, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's a
Same.
really good,
Same.
way to look at it.
Because we did the math, and I want to say if we're not at the $30,000 line for total collaborative charity runs at this point, we're close.
We're goddamn close. I think it's somewhere in like the 29 nines is where we're at the moment, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But we're fucking close. We're fucking close to the 30K mark.
And this is something that like we have like in terms of everything we've done, this is entirely done in-house, both in terms of our promotional efforts, our aesthetic efforts, and like we don't partner with agencies directly to help us out with this. We use Tiltify.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
Word of mouth and our dedication, and
Yep.
I've only gotten good at it by having 1 year that I made a lot of mistakes. And it's very funny because Bella was
24-hour
there
streams being one of them, right?
with me. The very first charity event that I ever ran was Eve Extra Life in 2016 that we ran 2 weeks before we ran that 2 weeks before the Day of Extra Life itself because I didn't want to compete with some of the bigger names.
Right.
And
yeah.
I said, we're going to do 24 hours of Earthbound straight. I contacted a lot of my artist friends and I paid them $100 each to take commission slots.
Pay your artists.
Raffle winners.
Support human artists.
I made my own graphics overlay. I made a little progress chart to show where we were. I put so much time and prep into that. And the one thing I did not fucking think about in all the prep work I did for that was that no one is going to stay up for 24 hours fucking straight. People, when you do a 24-hour stream, people will be with you at midnight. People will be with you at 2 a.m. People will be with you at 4 a.m. It is 10 a.m. the next day. That even the most dedicated people are like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's why a lot of VTubers I see when they do like uncapped subathons, they'll just. I think that's why the I'm just sleeping tag on Twitch exists.
Why is that? Explain that.
Well, it's okay. So a subathon is the stream goes for as long as chat donates bits and gifts subs to you.
I see.
Yeah, and an uncapped subathon means that chat can keep that going for as long as they want. Iron Mouse, when she did her uncapped subathon, it lasted for a month straight. Because chat just kept giving and giving and giving. To keep the timer running. So the I'm just sleeping tag on Twitch is literally just that. Like when it's time to go to bed, they'll throw on some either music or clips of past streams or run a past VOD of a stream and then like basically put their model like this.
Or like this.
Yeah, you have the full proper sleeping animation.
Yeah, you got the full, yeah.
Okay, so that explains that, yeah.
But yeah, as a result, I learned my really important lesson that like the final 2 hours of Earthbound, which would have been like the climax, the big finale.
Yeah, it was a wet fart because it was the end of 24 hours.
It was
right?
Runch. we had Runch, and I believe only Runch because Australia time zones.
It was Runch. I was there, but my ass was asleep.
Yep.
I literally just left your stream running in the background as I passed out.
I can't even say shit. I fell asleep on stream for 5 minutes.
Well, I was there with you, and I remember not being able to be there the whole time. Because I think it was right around the time that you were grinding for the King's Sword. And I could probably have stayed there if we weren't just doing the same things over and over again. But I couldn't do it.
I made the mistake looking back on it of because I tried for that. And I'm like, I really should have just passed on it and went back later on like I ended up doing.
You were in that spot for how long trying to get the King's Sword? For those who don't know, King's Sword is a rare drop from an enemy. What's the percentage rate on that, Tom?
1 in 128.
Yep.
And it is an enemy that when you clear the dungeon disappears. So you can only get it at one very specific point in the game. And I was there, I think overall about 3 hours. All told, about an hour and a half to start, and then when we finished the game and I realized I had 4 hours left to 24 hours, I went back, fell asleep on air, and said, "Do people mind if I close this out early?"
And Runch said, "Go ahead."
Yeah, and what that taught me was like I took a look at this, and we made 500, but of that 500, like, I ended up having to put in the last 40 myself. And I'm like, okay, this taught me a couple of really important things. I looked at the donation and view trackers throughout the entire thing, and we had like a maximum of like 25 people watching at midnight. And from 8 to midnight, we had about 25 consistent people watching. The donations were flowing in. When about 2 o'clock hit, the view count dropped to about 1/5, and the donations completely halted after midnight.
Yeah. Like when you're doing those marathon streams like that, you have to understand the people watching you also have energy that they have to expend to watch you. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we did the next year's charity marathon for Snark, I said, you know what? I'm taking everything I learned from this, and I'm applying it. So I came up with these 3 ideas that have always saved our life for every single Extra Life that we've done. 1, 12 hours, no more than 12 hours. We'll
Max.
sometimes make an exception if, I don't know how we've continued to do this, but nearly every Extra Life day has also fallen on
Leap day?
daylight savings.
Yeah.
So we've managed to incorporate an extra hour into the stream because of daylight savings time. Leap
You
forward.
had some of the best ideas for those two, can I just say?
I made some.
You do
I'll
have
fall
some
behind
good
that.
ideas, yeah.
Mario's time loop was one of my favorite ones I've ever
That was
done.
a very fun one. I'm glad I stayed up for that.
Those are usually where we'll try and sneak things in that we couldn't get into the marathon otherwise because we have an hour and change to kill. If we don't get any donations, no big fucking deal. We're sleeping for 12 hours before we have to go back on anyway. But 12 hours, 12 to noon, which means that people are going to actually be able to watch the entire fucking thing. And oh my god, that extra night of rest in between day 1 and day 2 is a godsend to doing stuff like fixing tech issues or even sometimes like doing some last minute ranging of the schedule in case shit happens.
Yeah. I mean, doing anything for 24 hours is kind of a bad idea.
It's terrible. Don't do it. It doesn't like you don't. As soon as we made that change, we doubled our donation. Donations received. The next thing I learned: never let a game play for more than 3 or 4 hours. Swap it up. So now what we'll do is we'll each pick a game to run for 2.5 hours and swap it over. So I may play a game for 2.5 hours. Then Chef will play something for 2.5 hours. Then Trevor will play something for 2.5 hours. And the nice thing about that is if anyone has any tech issues, we have games that we can pop back in to like fill the void in case like something happens or anything like that. So it gives people a reason to tune back in and maybe see something different than they were watching before, other than straight run of nothing but Earthbound. For an entire 2 days.
Because, like, for me, it takes a certain kind of game or certain kind of content to get me there and watching, because I just have so little time.
It changed. It, like, completely, like, upped our charity streaming game, like, to an untold degree. And I only learned that by making one bad, I don't even want to say bad, because it was still a success, but making the mistakes and learning from them and putting them in.
Yeah.
Make those
but
mistakes. Make mistakes. Get messy. Wahoo!
Like I was saying before, the nicest thing about Extra Life is that every one of us is putting in our like Christy is taking care of all the scheduling and basically the managerial part of the entire thing. Trevor obliterates it every year with the
layouts
graphics
are so
layouts and the schedule image and the aesthetics. Like that's him firing at his prime. Chef does the video editing and does our promo video, and it comes out fucking phenomenal.
I seem to remember
it's one of my favorite. It's honestly one of my favorite projects to work on every time Extra Life time comes around.
And I get to do like basically like full managerial role, which I love doing. And a big part that I think a lot of people definitely overlook when it comes to charity streaming, which is the vetting and like behind the scenes work, which is how you end up with people stealing from charity.
Yeah,
and...
you have to vet. You have to have somebody that's good at vetting to do that, because unfortunately, in the world that we live in, there are a lot of people who will very, very heartlessly and ruthlessly pretend to be charities that are legitimate for causes that are in the spotlight, current causes.
Yeah, Gerard.
That one hurt.
Gerard
the Completionist was a known charity streamer.
I think I remember this. Yeah.
It ended up coming out that he held on to a whole lot of. He basically kept a lot of the money.
Yeah.
Or didn't donate
close to $600,000.
Yeah, and I think I remember the excuse going around was I just didn't get to it, or I forgot, or some other thing.
I was just holding on to the money until we found a reputable charity or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you have to do that shit before you open and take a single fucking dollar. You have to have that shit.
Yeah, if you can't do it, have somebody do it for you. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have put this offer out on the table for literally anyone who ever wants to do a charity-run event ever.
Yeah.
I have been doing this for coming up on 9 years now. Ping me. Ask me for help. I will help you vet your charity. I will help you set the background shit up. This is hard. I had to navigate and learn it all on my own. But there are ways to tell how much of your donation actually makes it to the charity. These are things that are public, that can be public knowledge, but you may have to ask, you may have to look. And I've made discoveries about charity groups that we're trying to rectify this now with a potential couple of projects coming up. But when Soft Giving, middleman organization that wanted to be Tiltify, wanted they were exposed recently as being a group that stole 30% of the charity money that they raised, and I'm like, I knew this because we worked with them in 2020 or 2021, I think.
2021.
We worked with them for one event. They were looking for VTubers for charity, and Chef ran. Was that Monster Hunter or?
That was Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah,
I did
it was a Monster Hunter Rise stream, and we were raising money for the American Cancer Society, which, having multiple family and extended family members pass away to cancer, it is a cause I feel very strongly for. And when that fucking came out, we only raised something like $700 that stream, but still that pissed me the fuck off.
Yeah,
that pissed me the fuck off.
Cancer is the thing that will piss a lot of people off because a lot of people are touched by cancer. I have personally had very close experiences with people who were dying of cancer. In my first job, I was a benefits coordinator, and a person that we hired, I'll always remember the guy. He was almost like a cartoon character himself. He was a very thick New York accent, almost like the kind of cartoon mafia guy. And he'd start losing weight. One night we found him in the office just kind of lying on the floor because he was in so much pain. And I am the person who had to coordinate his benefits with his family there. And it's very surreal to be across the table from somebody and talking to them, and you know that they're dying, and that the only thing that they could do is go into hospice. That is very surreal. And to lie about that kind of pain, or to wish that kind of pain on people, I know that there's people in the world that you might not like. I wouldn't wish cancer on my worst enemy.
No,
I wouldn't.
No,
it's despicable.
No, because I've lost my grandfather to lung cancer.
My dad has cancer. He's in remission. But
thank God for that.
But it's something that follows him around right now because he had lung cancer. He had a portion of his lung removed, which during COVID, having a lung and a half, it weighs on him and it weighs on me too. But then he had bladder cancer that they took out, and it's you treat cancer seriously.
You do.
You treat it like a nasty monster because it is. It's despicable.
But we ended up, I want to say we ended up raising something like 600, like high 600. I want to say.
Yeah, like
that.
mid 600s, something like that. Yeah.
And that's a, we jokingly said only there, but that's a fucking respectable amount.
It is.
For a non-Extra Life stream.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. They have to report how much of that actually made it to the to the societies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Around tax time, I always make it a point around tax time to check any major event that we have led and verify that
they got those funds.
I'm checking next month that the money I donated to Palestinian Children Relief and American Society for Suicide Prevention all made it, how much of it made it. And for a good company like Tiltify, they will take maybe 3% at most. In fact, the best way to tell if a company is good is when you go to donate your money, they will say something to the effect of, do you want to cover processing costs? And if you see that, you know exactly how much of your money is actually going to the organization itself, and everything else is going right to charity.
Right.
Well, I checked out soft giving, and of the 650 that we raised, something like 400 made it.
I was so fucking mad.
I'm still shocked that I thought I said something I either forgot to say something in chat about it, or more than likely I probably saw that, got too upset about it, realized that it would have made everyone upset, and kind of waited on it.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I said, we are never working with soft giving again, because they basically took of the money we raised about $200
like a third of it, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
And that's sadly not an uncommon thing for a whole lot of these anytime Facebook is like, organize a pledge drive for your birthday, Facebook keeps like 35-40% of that fucking money.
Yeah. And unfortunately, even if you go through a reputable giving company, you have to make sure that the charity is worth a damn too. Like, because some of these cancer organizations spent a very, very small amount of their proceeds on the actual research. Like,
yep. Sometimes a whole lot of it will just go to the organization's like awareness campaign.
Which, hey, it's 2024. We know what cancer is. We know.
We've been known.
Do something about it.
The red flags to look out for that, by the way, are awareness campaigns. If a sizable chunk of their profits go to awareness campaigns, they're full of shit. If they have a sizable amount that goes to overhead, like if they don't have the percentage that goes to overhead, that means it's most of it.
Yeah.
A good company like, again, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention or Direct Relief for Palestinian relief recently, something like 3% goes to overhead, and something like 85% goes directly to the front lines of research or direct aid.
I mean, direct aid is really good because, I mean, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's direct aid for people who are suffering from cancer, right?
Yeah. So, well, in this case, direct aid was for the Palestinian conflict.
Yeah, which, that whole thing.
Also, Sun Seal is also talking about administrative costs, another red flag.
Yes.
That's
if they can't tell you exactly what it is that they're using the money for, then there's probably a good reason that they don't want to tell you.
Yeah, if they're hiding anything, then that's like, if they're not using very specific language, that's a big old red flag.
Yeah.
Even in general, it's good to know what your money is actually going to.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you donate to the Palestinian Children Relief Fund, the PCFR.
And I want to get involved in that at some time, too. When I have the time, I want to do a charity with you on that, because my heart goes out to those people. My heart goes out to those poor people.
The PCFR is, for the donations for their most part, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of their money is currently going towards renovation costs for repair after the conflict. Which is good. That is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But I'm like,
that's kind of a secondary thing to the people starving and dying in the streets, like buildings.
That's exactly how I felt. So when I looked for an organization that was directly helping towards the front line, the people who are basically in the line of fire.
Yeah.
And that's when I found Direct Aid.
I mean, that's...
Or Direct Relief.
Direct Relief, yeah.
So, but like, maybe you want your donation to go towards the restoration. So do a little bit of investigation.
Yeah.
Like you were saying now, the American Cancer Society, I believe, is more beneficial for helping people who are suffering in the hospital.
Yeah.
So it'll do things like aid hospices and aid.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's very important. Yeah. Like I would like for there to be, you know.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, we would cut the cancer off at the root, so to say, but I've seen what cancer does to people. You just waste away. You become so weak. I had an aunt who had cancer, and I remember I was at her house one day and was saying goodbye to her, and I put my hand on her shoulder, and she sunk under the weight of my hand. Like, it makes you so weak.
I was still very young, but my grandfather passed away from lung cancer. I saw firsthand what that did to him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But like, you compare that to a thing like the Prevent Cancer Foundation, which is also an exceedingly good organization.
It's another very good organization, yeah.
A lot of their stuff is going towards labs that are looking for cures and preventative measures. So it's kind of like you have to these are the things that you have to really look into before you designate where you do. And this is kind of the joy of for me, charity foundations is, do you want your money to go towards people who are currently suffering, or do you want your money to go towards trying to prevent something? And that's kind of where you get to pick and choose.
And none of those are wrong. Nothing. There's no right or wrong choice there.
Yeah. I was literally about to say those are both the correct answer.
Yeah.
But do the research.
Yeah.
Figure out where your money is going to go.
It's the one thing, like you said it, Tom. Like, it's the one thing people, I think, overlook the most about doing charity work.
Yeah.
They just kind of assume that if it's on Tiltify, it must be good.
Well, I think maybe some people aren't so experienced in that area, and maybe some people can't fathom that somebody would just either misallocate or outright steal.
And
you know
that's
what I mean?
Unfortunately what the biggest problem with a company like Soft Giving or these middleman fucking companies, they take advantage of that ignorance. And they're like, they, again, kind of bringing it full circle is that discussion of agencies. They want to play that role of, don't worry, we got all the stuff for you.
Bringing it all back in.
Graphics to put here are some graphics to put on your overlay, and we'll take care of the rest. Don't worry about it. If you're not reading what they're actually doing, they may be just fucking stealing from the work you are running.
Yeah.
And the people you want to help.
Yeah, do not sign anything without reading it unless it's the end user license agreement to like your video game that it wants you to sign before you play it. That's okay.
And if you have questions, BPM, go to the New York Snark Exchange Discord.
Yes.
Hit me up.
You could go ahead and link that in the chat, Tom. Even though I'm pretty sure Snarkers are the only ones watching, but you never know. Let's cross-pollinate here.
Nice. Nice. That took me a second, but well done.
I am a pumpkin. Okay. I think that's a good place to leave off on it. We've been here for about 2.5 hours.
That's the fastest 2.5 hours of my life.
My God. This is how you can tell that conversations are genuine, intriguing, engaging, and fun. The time flies, and there have been several times when I've been talking to Tom or Chef or any one of the Snarkers that I've had to say, I have to tear myself away from this conversation because otherwise I'll be here for another hour and it's late and I have to go.
Can I also just say I fucking enjoyed this. This was awesome.
Absolutely.
It was really enjoyable for you guys to come and do this. And I would really I would be completely open for us to do this again or anything like
I was
this.
Literally about to say, if you want to do this again, give me a day. I'll leave that day open.
Yeah. Like I'm really serious when I think when I say I think that Snark could lean into the differences, lean into people's specialties. Um, just
That's honestly that's honestly I think one of our goals this year is just to get
Yep.
to get more diverse and unique stuff up
yeah,
on the channel.
yeah. I mean, diversity, uniqueness. This year, I've said it, and most of last year too. I've said embracing differences and embracing imperfections, because I will get to your pun in a second, son. You've been a
Son
very
always
you've been a very good chatter tonight, but I am in the middle of a monologue here.
Son always does this. They will drop into any single one of my streams, whether it be on my channel or on the New York Snark Exchange channel, and it's just pun hours.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But especially now with AI art being the way that it is, AI art being a plague on humanity,
Yes.
and I'm not like embellishing or being hyperbolic.
I don't even want to call it art because it's not.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's so AI art strives to be perfect by replicating all the kind of the kind of imagery that it's told is perfect.
Yeah.
But the most beautiful AI picture that's calculated with all, we make fun of it because it looks bad, or they have 10 20 30 fingers. Eventually we're not going to have that. Eventually AI art may become indiscernible from regular art, if you aren't careful. My words to you, and I feel this deep in my heart, that you should embrace imperfection, because the shittiest quote unquote MS Paint drawing on paper, colored imperfectly, there's a lot more humanity in that. That is that thing that you created. You took the will, you took the time, you picked up a pen, and you just did it, and you weren't afraid of what people would say. um that's beautiful to me. That is worth a lot more than you think it's worth, and it's worth a lot more than what other people will tell you it's worth. That's my opinion on that.
I agree. It's
Fully agree.
yeah, no, it's the little differences that make things human.
Yeah,
Like if I guarantee you, if all five of us in the New York Snark Exchange liked the exact same things and had the same exact point of view on the exact same things, we wouldn't be friends.
yeah,
It'd be boring as fuck.
yeah.
I am notoriously pro spider.
Well,
Chef is not.
Tom loves spiders. I recognize their usefulness, but I wish they would stay away from me.
well, I think spiders are delicious. Okay, we'll
Remind me
leave
never to
off.
introduce you to mine.
We'll leave off with a pun here. Okay, if computing was teaching rocks to think, AI art was teaching rocks to steal.
Oh my god.
Mm,
All right,
nom,
son,
nom,
what
nom,
is
nom,
your
nom,
pun?
nom.
Where do bad rainbows go?
Yeah, where do
I'm
bad
curious.
rainbows go? Tell us.
Because I've never heard this one before. I swear to I don't know
Wait.
how. But
I'm closing my eyes. I'm trying to think what the answer could be. Where do bad rainbows go?
I don't know.
Hell. Hell. They go to hell.
Whoa,
They
really
go to
dark
hell.
cloud.
Okay, tell us. Tell us, where do they go? To Prism. They go to Prism. They go to Prism. I got it.
It's a light sentence, but it gives them time to reflect.
Oh, you know what? It's the follow-up that gets it. It's the follow-up that gets it. Oh.
Oh, that's so good. What the fuck? Son, where do you come up with these? My god.
There are people who will tell you that puns are the lowest form of comedy. You have my permission to punch those people in the face.
Those people are wrong.
Yeah, you can
people are
punch
wrong.
them in the face.
Hey, no, listen. I have famously gone on like a 5-minute marathon of nothing but egg and food puns. Like I know. I love me a good pun.
Can you hit us with the pun right now before we leave?
egg puns. You really don't need to go too far for them. You don't need to scramble your brain for them. You could even just poach them from somebody. You know, it's that over easy.
See, I'm more in the very dirty joke side of things.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Well, both of them are pretty easy. They don't sound very hard-boiled.
Yeah.
Is that your
Okay.
is that your OV position on the matter?
That is, yeah.
See, look at that! I managed to combine both of them at the same.
Yo!
Hit him with that 1-2. Hit him with that 1-2.
Oh.
Hit him with it.
That we call that versatility. We really are cross-pollinating here.
Oh god. Oh yeah, no, Son just reminded me of probably one of my favorite Star Wars related jokes they ever hit me with. They hit me with what is a consistently Jawa shaped pasta called?
A consistently Jawa-shaped pasta. I give up.
Routini.
I was about to say it's gonna be that or ZD, isn't it? God damn it.
Oh god, I wish we could just do this forever.
I know.
Well, you know what? Save it for next time. Hardness.
It's so good.
What was I about to say? Absence makes the heart go wander.
Yeah.
You can also probably get more. I'd love to get Trevor in on one of these two. I think.
Oh, absolutely. I would.
He would
love
enjoy
to get
it
Trevor
for
in.
sure. Honestly, yeah.
So I'm gonna post something into the chat here. I want you both to kind of open that up, and then I'm gonna cue that up in the back as we go.
If we don't have a raid target, would you mind if I threw a raid over to Snark? Because I believe we are still going live with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ray's still going.
Yep, but let me go ahead and I'm pressing play on this.
Oh, I love this song. It's the it's the summoning salt music.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a lot of fun here tonight, haven't we? We learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about the world. And we learned a lot about ourselves. Tom, who are we going to?
We're gonna go say hi to our good buddy Ray at the New York Snark Exchange, which I believe the raid might be queued up. I don't know.
Well, could you go ahead and... Oh, thank you very much, Satsiel. Could you type the name in there for me, Tom, so I get it right?
Sure. I guess I don't have a... I know I'm a mod.
Oh, right. Okay, so what's the command for raid? I don't usually do this.
It is /raid and
/raid and then the name, a space and then the name.
Okay. We're gonna pass it off over to Ray. Thank you so much for coming and being with us. Thank you, Chef. Thank you, Tom. This has been something special.
Yeah. No, honestly, if you want... Yeah, no, honestly, if you want to do this again, give me a day. I will leave that day open for you.
I am very thankful for that. So, good night and goodbye.
See you, everybody.
See ya.
Do I have to stop stream before?
Oh no, you want to hit the you want to. It'll give you the button to hit
Okay, I'm pressing raid now.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, and now I stop streaming, right?
Now you're
Now
good.
you can. Stop
Okay.
streaming.